I'm Sophia A. Jackson, and I'm the editor and founder of Aphrodisiac Theatre News. And today I'm joined by
Jade Anouka, hi.
first of all, I want to say I absolutely loved you in Fool Me Once, which I just finished watching. It was brilliant. Also, I didn't
Oh,
actually
thanks.
clock that. Oh, no spoilers, obviously, but I didn't clock who you were
No
until
spoilers
quite.
here, but you didn't clock it.
Yeah, yeah. It was brilliant. How was it being in that?
Yeah, it was a lovely little job. Like it was only a little bit, but going up shot in Manchester, so I got to go up and down quite a bit, and I love Manchester. And and filming with the Deal actor is just he's just brilliant. And getting to do all my scenes with him was great. And then yeah, it came out on New Year's Day, and so like everyone was watching it. So I was just getting all these messages from all over the world, people watching it in like different languages and it being dubbed over from like distant relatives being like, "We saw you on TV." So
Oh, that's
yeah,
so
it's been kind of
exciting.
yeah, it was good.
But we're not here to talk about that today. Today we're here to talk about Heart. So congratulations on your debut play, Heart, and bringing it to Brixton House. So the blurb about Heart says,
Thank you.
returning home to South London, where it all began. What does South London mean to you?
Uh, I love South London, born and bred. I've never lived in any other part of London, and I don't think I ever will. I've managed to persuade most of my friends to move to South London, and they've never looked back either. Um, it's just, yeah, it's just for me, it's just home.
Yeah. And in your own words, what is Heart about? Briefly.
Hmm. Briefly, Heart is um, about a woman who, after the breakdown of her marriage to a man, basically has to kind of fight her own inner demons in order to find out who she is, what she wants, and to be able to be at peace with that. And yeah, all the kind of trials and tribulations that comes with wanting to live authentically in a world which seems to not want her to.
And how has writing and performing Heart helped you personally?
Oh, interesting. Well, writing it initially was a sort of just a vomit of feelings and words. It was written as one long poem, and that was sort of my way of kind of getting a lot of stuff that was inside out and on the page.
Mm.
It has, thankfully, for everyone since then, been kind of dramatized and worked on and developed and structured properly. Um, and I'm definitely in a place now that I'm able to perform it. In I'm not in the play, as it were, anymore. I think, yeah, personally, if you're going to perform autobiographical work, those wounds need to have healed, or at least not be raw and open, in order to be
Mm.
able to perform every night. So it becomes the kind of story becomes bigger and more than you. It's sort of left me now. I've had that, and it's kind of the connection. Right now, it's all about the connection that it has, or the possibility it has to have a connection with other people. And my experience has been such that people have really connected to it and have felt like it's made them feel less alone. It's really made them understand either themselves or people dear to them, and that's been the most amazing thing that I've got from it so far.
And you performed in New York, which was the first place it was performed. So how did that come about?
Well, I right back in the day, I did it at Vault Festival for a couple of
Oh yeah.
nights as a kind of work in progress. And off the back of that, I was really lucky to that the Kiln Theatre in
Mm.
Kilburn picked it up, and they were gonna produce it, and we announced that it was happening, and then a week later we went into lockdown. That was back
Uh,
in March 2020, and so that sort of fell through, that whole project, which was really heartbreaking, actually.
mm.
But luckily, Audible, who were interested, and had already kind of wanted to have it as an Audible original audio piece, said, "Oh, I've heard you've lost your theatre. Did you know we own a theatre in New York? Do you want to come to New York and perform it next year?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so we went over to I went over to New York and performed it, and it was amazing. I mean, it was still, there was still quite a few restrictions in place in New York, and people were in masks, which was hard in order when you're doing a one-person play, and the audience really help with the production. It really helps with each show, getting the kind of feedback from them. So it was amazing. But this production is a very different production from the New York one.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what changes have you made from New York to Edinburgh and then now London? How has it evolved?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, the New York production was incredible, and it was such a big production actually, and there was a lot of set.
Okay.
Um, I was alone on stage, whereas when we then took it to Edinburgh, it sort of went back to its kind of roots, its kind of raw form. It was in the round, there was no set, and I brought Grace on board to do the music live because I felt like that musical element really worked, kind of being intertwined with the music and being more connected, and the
Mm,
live element of that as well. And so that came to Edinburgh, and it's the Edinburgh production that we're bringing to Brixton.
okay. So the main change is the musical element.
Yeah, the script hasn't changed much. Musical element, and then how I perform it and how I am able to be closer and kind of look into the eyes of the audience, rather than in New York it was an end on staging. In
Hmm.
Edinburgh it was in the round, so immediately felt like it was a bit more of like a safe little kind of group of us, kind of in on somebody's kind of inner thoughts. And we tried to keep an element of that for Brixton. It's going to be thrust, so audience on three sides, and much kind of more intimate.
I was going to ask later on, but you've already mentioned Grace. So how did that collaboration come about? Why did you think that the music side was important?
Well, I've sort of, whenever I sort of started writing through poetry, and I've always performed poetry, and my favourite performances of poetry have been with music. So I've performed at different music nights in London, particularly mainly with jazz musicians actually, who kind of, and I've done it in New York as well, where they kind of go with the kind of vibe and the feel of the words, and I really loved that, and I wanted to get back to kind of the more poetic side of how I've written the piece, because I think that's really part of your experience as an audience member with the show, is not just the story but how it's told. And Grace is a beatboxer as well, and so the rhythms of the beatboxing as well, because that was another way I got into writing poetry, was when I was growing up and garage was big, and everyone was writing to a beat, in my school, and so the idea of having that kind of form
Hmm.
felt right. And then we've then opened that up, and there's lots of different musical genres that you'll see in the piece as well.
Thank you. This is a very personal piece, but what reservations did you have about bringing your story to the stage?
Um,
And how did you overcome those reservations?
when I first put it on in the vault, I made sure my parents weren't in the country.
Brave.
And they're also not in the country this time round as well. That's helped. I What did I do? Do you know what? I was very much a kind of rip the plaster off in one
Mm,
go. I invited at the Vault Festival the first time I did it. I invited a lot of my family, my cousins, and my brother and sister, because I was really interested to have their opinion on that side of it. Because although they haven't had my experience, they know my family and
mm,
know how, and could maybe connect on that way. So that was really good, but it was scary. Um, I have then, and I've also using that kind of knowledge, have reworked some of those bits and how I mention it, because I want to be honest, but I also want to be fair and
mm.
not cruel. But so those were the moments in it that were kind of the most scary moments. But in my kind of ethos was just dive in,
So your
embrace it.
parents,
I think you need to hear it. I think part of the reason that part of the reason I wanted to put this play on is that I hadn't seen this sort of stuff spoken about on stage,
mhm.
and I thought, well, I'll do it then. Because if I wanted, and it's the kind of play that I wish I had seen years before, it would have helped, I think.
And have you had a lot of feedback that has said something similar, that this is the first time other people have seen similar stories, their own
I think, yeah, there are.
experiences?
Yeah, I mean, every experience is, there are obviously overlaps with a lot of people's experiences, and I think that's what
Mm,
is quite great. What I found from people going, my story is very different, but that moment, or that interaction with your mum, or that interaction with your partner, or that really connected, and so that's been
mm,
really great. But yes, there have been people who've literally gone, I've never seen my story on stage. I forget that this is
yeah.
your story. They were like, I cannot believe that you've put my story on stage, which has been sort of incredible. Yeah.
So does that help with any reservations that you've had? Does it make it all worthwhile when you get that kind of feedback?
Exactly. That is exactly it. It makes it all worthwhile when you, yeah, exactly. You've connected to one person who it's really affected. That's like,
Mm.
that's always the dream. And so, yeah, for that to have happened is amazing. And I just hope that that happens again and more people, for more people.
And has anything happened that has made you think, actually, this has been harder than I thought, or maybe, I don't know, have you felt quite exposed?
Do you know what? I think the most exposing thing has been trying to, like, seeing the kind of world of theatre from the other side. Like, you know, I'm
Mm.
usually just the actor. So being the
Yeah.
writer, you kind of go on production meetings, you're helping to kind of put on the show, and seeing that side of it has been, I found, really tough, and actually very much going, you know, literally, this is my heart, and I'm having to like offer it up to other people to look after and to show, and that's been really difficult.
Mm.
What's been lovely about doing it here at Brixton House is that I've got kind of, I'm basically producing it myself, you know,
Mm.
and Brixton House are helping me, but they're letting me kind of run free and have free reign with how I want to tell the story, which is why it feels like this is exactly the way I wanted to tell it, actually. And we finally come here, and we needed to go through all of that and go to New York and do all of that, and actually we've reached
Mm.
here, and this is how it should be. So I'm really grateful to Brixton House for that.
Thank you. And finally, about Heart, why should people come and see the show?
Because I think it's a great story, but not only that, I think it's told in an interesting and exciting way. I think you'll be affected by it. If you're not affected by one part of the story, you'll be affected by another. If you really are not affected by any part of the story, the music will get you.
Thank you. I've got a few quick fire questions and then that's it. And first one is, what's your favourite theatre space?
Ooh, oh, do you know what? It doesn't exist anymore. But when I did the Don Mar trilogy, they built a tent, basically at
Mm,
King's Cross, a massive tent, and it was all on four sides. So it was sort of like an in the round, a massive in the round version stage setup. I loved that. In the
thank
round, I guess.
Okay. And for Heart Press Night, who would you like to see the show, dead or alive?
Oh, well, look. Oh, this is good. I'd love Janelle Monáe to come.
Oh yeah.
Um, I'm just gonna go with, yeah, gonna go with them.
Thank you. Um, and what's your earliest memory of going to the theatre and who took you?
Ooh, earliest memory of going to the theatre. This feels quite late, and I feel like I must have gone to the theatre before this, but it was at school. I
Mm,
went to see two, this is so weird. I went to see two versions of Measure for Measure. One was at the Globe and one was at the
okay.
National, and we had to like compare and contrast.
Oh,
And I
brilliant.
remember thinking, how can one play be so different? It
Mm,
was like, one was like really modern, and I remember they kept dragging chairs along, and the other one was in the Globe, and it was all done very, you know, Shakespearean.
yeah.
And I remember thinking, oh wow, one story can be told in so many different ways. That was what I took away from
Brilliant. That's
it.
it. Is there anything else you wanted to share?
The play script is going to be published alongside the show. So if you want to come and reread the words or hear the words again, do come and get a play script. I'm really happy and excited that it's going to get published as well.
That's fantastic. And you can pick that up at Brixton House.
Yes.
Brilliant.
You can watch the show.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm looking forward to seeing the show. And thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.